I ain't drunk. I'm just drinking.
But you're so high.
Oh man, you know I ain't high.
But you're so high.
Yeah, well I just take a little sip every now and then.
But you're so high.
You ought to be ashamed of
Stay
yourself.
drunk all
Oh,
the
come on now,
time.
you all don't feel like that.
Hey kids, I am back again. Like a bad penny or cockroach or something like that. Anyhow, I have a head cold from hell, NyQuil in my system, and a rototwister is made. And we're going to do this build. This is going to be the baddest bird, bar none, you ever saw. Now, if you like, where the fuck is it? This guy right here, the Cerberus. Woohoo! Love this frame. This is just, love this. That's what we're going to build. Now, with this, and this is going to be a very fast build, actually. There's nothing to this thing. This is a relatively expensive build, but it's very, very easy. You do not have to have the same frame, the same motors, the same flight controller that I'm going to use for this. You go out and buy your frame, buy a $10 frame, buy $15 motors, buy whatever the fuck you want. This is to show you technique and a little bit of wiring and things like that. If you want to build this, you're going to have a bad bird, but it's not the cheapest guy going. So, let's get to this. There's going to be plenty of interruptions, plenty of fuck-ups, no good video editing, lots of bad jokes probably, and plus I have a head cold, so I'll probably smoke half the shit I put in here. And I have a pizza ordered, and it'll probably take about 2 days, because I'm pretty fucking sick. So, anyway, and plus Blackhawk's coming over to give me some shit and bring my goggles back. But anyhow, so this is what we're going to start with. Let's do an overview of the frame real quick. Now, this is the Flynoceros. I think I ordered the green one. I'm colorblind, don't really give a shit, but I want something different. I love, 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 love this frame, and it's very expensive. It's 86 bucks, and in my world, for a frame, that is expensive. But has a limited lifetime warranty on it. You send them 20 bucks, they send you a whole new frame. If you break this little corner right here, you send them 20 bucks and the entire frame, and they send you a whole new one. It's worth it to me. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful frame. I've already reviewed this once, but I'm going to do a quickie overview of it again. So, excuse the voice, like I said. God bless it. Okay. Fuck it. Here we go. Here's our unibody. That's so pretty. I can't believe I'm building another one of these. I love these fucking builds. This is the back. This is the front. Get rid of that schmutz. And there's our TPU gear, our cool-ass Flynoceros sticker, gotta have one of them, and our canopy and standoffs and all that good shit. That is all there is to it. And one thing I didn't point out on the first one, and I said these guys, on my first video review of this, I said these guys have a sense of humor because they put this thing right here. But they also, I noticed this after I did the review, they have an old 80s song imprinted in here. We're no strangers to love, you know the rules and so do I. Folk, blah, 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 let's see. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling, gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. Never, who was that? It wasn't Aha, who was, it doesn't matter. Anyhow, there we go. That's the whole frame. That's all you get for 80 bucks. But trust me kids, this is a bad motherfucker right here. And the motors I'm using, and I'm gonna be doing a lot of stop and go with this, just so we can, you know, I don't like editing. I hate editing videos. I like to go boom, 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 and be done. BrotherHobby Returner R4s. Oh, 2206, 2450s. Now, these are not the most juiced up Returner R4s you can get. But I don't want juiced up. I want something that has a little bit of fly time. I'm not racing. I'm just fucking around with Blackhawk and stuff. But these are beautiful fucking motors, guys. Beautiful. Look at these. Bam! I'm so excited to get these. Next to my gold Cobras, these are probably going to be my favorite. I like how the motor wires are individualized like that. Very nice. Here, we're going to be a cheap motor. Okay, take a Racer Star, for instance. See how they just come out like that? Those rip out pretty easy. Then these might too. Fuck, I don't know. But anyway, I am so pumped. These are bad to the bone. 2206 by 2450. So the 2450 kV So that is 2,450 RPM per volt. Ugh, beautiful. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and unbox these, get the screws out and everything. Be right back. Bam. Okay, here we go. So got the motors all out, got the nuts screwed on just temporarily. Beautiful. I'm so psyched. Just love. I've been wanting to try these. I bought some returners and I put them on Zebra's build, and I only pop tested it, flew it around the yard real quick, and that dude's got some bad motors on that fucking bird that we sent him. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, you might have seen this from the build video that I did with for Zebras. There's a little trick that I do. I'll take a magnet. Here's all my motor bolts. Bam. I should probably turn Yoda over so you guys can see this easier, but that's okay. That's what I do. Oop. Shit. Hang on. That is not what I do. My little plastic cap came off. But it's the same principle. There's all my bolts. Usually there's a plastic cap over this thing, and I go like this. Bam. Like this. Okay? And then shake up some of your thread lock. Only use blue. Never use red. Red is bad. Okay? And then I put a little dab on every one. You don't need a shit ton. Sometimes when I've been drinking too much, like which is usual, you know, you don't have to get like Bardwell juicy with it. There we go. Okay, that's it. Nothing but a peanut. So we're gonna take one of these bolts, and you're gonna get a little dirty, because I just pick them up like that. And we're going to make sure, always make sure that your bolt isn't gonna hit your inside windings. Don't tighten it way down tight, and do two offsides like this at angles. And the one thing you want to do is make sure you've got it centered. There you go. And then hand thread the other couple in. And then you want to star pattern tighten. So tighten one like that, then go across diagonally, just like a tire on a car. Alright, bam. Nothing but a peanut. This is going to be a long video, kids. I'm fucking sick. There you go. Bam. Beautiful. Look at that. Ugh. Alright, I'm going to do the other three because you don't need to watch this. Be right back. And we're back. Okay. So, one thing that I always keep on hand is Clorox wipes. And I'm not the cleanest guy in the world. You guys have seen my bench. But when you're dealing with thread lock and things like that, it tends to be a little caustic. And you get it all over your hands and whatever else, and you don't want these pretty little motors getting all gooey, so I wipe these things off. Okay? Pretty. Beautiful. Alright, cool. So, we're going to take a dry towel. Well, I buy these at AutoZone. These are just those heavy-duty paper towel. All it is. Okay? Now, we are using a Cicada 30 amp all-in-one ESC, and this also has an Omnibus F4 flight controller in it with OSD and all that. I probably said that. Again, if this sucks, I'm sorry, kids. I'm sick. So, what we're going to do, since this is an all-in-one, that's how this is going to roll. All right? So, what we're going to do first is I'm going to tape down wires. Now, if you were using bullet ESCs, okay? Let's see. Take this guy here. All right. Obviously, you're going to cut your wires and you're going to go to your ESCs first. All right. That's a different build. And you've seen me do stuff like that before. So what we're going to do is I'm going to find the happy spot. I'm going to use my Kapton tape. Wham. Okay. Kapton tape. Or you can use zip strips, whatever you want. And what I like to do is try to keep these all in line. Like this, okay? And we're going to go for the middle of the arm. And with Kapton tape, it's basically like very, very, very heat-proof cellophane tape. And how I usually do it, I find the happy spot in the middle, in this case there. Go like this. Hopefully this is all in shot. Okay, I wrap it around. Ooh. And it will pull off. I'm actually going to do 2 layers on that one because it broke before I wanted it to. That's okay. But it breaks in a nice straight line. And you guys can go back through my other videos if you haven't seen it already. And I usually break it on the bottom. That way you don't see it. Looks a little neater. Bam. And the reason I do it like this in line is when we hook these up to the ESCs and you hook them all up the same way, you only have to reverse 2 motors. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do the other 3. Be right back. Bam. All right. So now I want to point out I did fuck up. And some of you probably caught it. And it's probably the NyQuil. But you see how these screws are beveled? That's supposed to be on the bottom. But I don't care because I'm using my own bolts. It really doesn't matter if the bevel's on the top or the bottom. It really doesn't. Now, one of the things that I do, usually, if I'm building a full stack, okay, meaning all-in-one flight controller with, say, a 4-in-1 ESC, you got 2 boards, maybe 3 boards, whatever the case may be. So I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. Usually what I do is I actually use steel screws and then mount this. All right, but since this is only 1 board and there's really no weight inertia to it, I think I'm just going to use nylon. So here's some nylon standoffs. Now, one of the things that I also want to do is I want to take my receiver and I am going to delaminate this, take it off, and I'm going to mount my receiver under here. Okay, this is the back of the quad because this is where this is linking in. All right, but anyway, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to basically cut this heat shrink off, add a different antenna, and this is something that I do for radio link, so you might want to ignore this part. I'm going to desolder these and hard solder wires to this. So after I do that, I'm going to mount that underneath. Actually, you know, I'm not going to. We're going to, because it's got, think about it, I got my strap that's going to go underneath there. This is the back of the quad. So we're just going to go ahead and nylon this dude in. Now, one thing, when you're doing these nylons, you want to make sure you have enough room for your strap. And that's something I actually fuck up a lot. I always forget it. With micros, not with these so much. But, and we're going to go, yeah, that should work. We'll go about there. I don't think anybody needs any pointers on putting on nylon standoffs. Screw them in. Everybody's happy. And I'm not even worried about height because this thing's got tons of room in it. I've already built one of these, so I know what it's got. And we're only putting in 1 board, essentially. So, there's that. Bam. Perfect. Beautiful, beautiful. One thing I do recommend you get is a socket that fits these so you can make it nice and long. Nice to have. So, if you'll notice with the Cicada, this is everything. Flight controller, ESCs, whole 9 yards. The plastic actually overwraps the holes. So we're going to cut that off with this little dude. Be careful doing this, obviously. And if my brother Equad, that old pirate's watching this, he's just ordered one of these too. He's going to use in one of his builds. And it is an Omnibus F4 processor. Bam! Look at that pretty thing. That's a beautiful thing. Now, normally, I would conformal coat this, but I'm actually not even going to worry about that right now. So keep in mind, whether you're using this frame or any other frame, what's the back of the frame? In this case, it's right here, okay? So, bam, we're going to go like this. This is the right direction for this board, okay? There's your pigtail in the back. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to tin this before you put it in the bird or after, or before or while it's in the bird? I usually tin them when it's outside the bird, actually. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to heat up the soldering iron and we're going to do this. All right, we are set up. Soldering iron should be good. Hopefully you guys can see this. This is not rocket science either, but sometimes we take things for granted. Hang on, I got a tangle. There we go. All right, so make sure you start with a clean tip. Wham! Okay, and I'm going to tin. Make sure I can see everything here. Battery leads first. Now, it does not have to be super melted down, super hot, because you're just getting solder on. Okay. So now, hopefully my big old head don't get in the way. I'll go ahead and do these. So you got to remember, you're going to be reheating these when you put your wires on. So it's not necessarily important that you have it totally melted and pretty. You just want to get it on there for when the time comes. Because I'm actually doing this kind of cold right now. Because this tip sucks. I need to get a new tip on here, but that's alright. I just plugged it in too. And we're going to do these. Make sure you can still see this. And this is just how I do it. I put the solder in my hand. And that's how we do it in the city. Get in and get out. Bam. That's it. Everything's done. All right. So, whoop. Get rid of this guy. Now, back to the bird. So, we know this is the back side of our bird. We're going to put this in here. All right. Now, one thing that I do recommend is that you put the nuts on. Notice I'm not ISO mounting or O-ringing my flight controller. I can, but I'm not going to because I really have never noticed a huge difference. I usually put my nuts on first. The reason I do that, like a lot of guys will wait till the end because sometimes they get in the way of soldering and you just need to melt them away a little bit. So that's why I do this. Sometimes it's a real bitch to get these things to go on after you've got the solder in. There we go. And there's that one. Hang on a tick. This one's being a bitch. There we go. Okay. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take our trusty socket, wherever it went. Hang on. Let me recenter here. And where the fuck did it go? See, this is the problem, kids, when you build and you got too much NyQuil and shit in your system. That's alright. We're just going to hand tighten them for now. What the fuck did I do with that? Oh well. You guys are used to me by now. It's all good. I'll tighten them up later. Don't let me forget. Seriously? I mean, I need to smoke. Maybe that's a problem. There it is. I found it. You just gotta move shit. Alright. We're gonna get... See, this is why these little sockets are nice. Okay. Bam. Saves your fingertips. Alright, so now what you want to do is you want to measure, essentially, how do you want to bring these wires around? Okay. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Sorry. I'm not used to doing build videos, guys. I just whip this shit out. So, do you want to come on the outside or come around to the inside? I think... I don't want to make this too hard. It doesn't really matter. I think we're just going to use a finger, go. I measure them all to the last point. See that right there? There's 1, 2, 3. I measure them all to there. And you probably shouldn't be drinking a lot and have a lot of NyQuil in your system for this, but you know what? You only live once. Pizza's here. I'll finish this in a second. Bye-bye. All right, we are back. One of the things, I still got this head cold. It's the next day. I pooped out. Sorry about that. That's all right. We're back to it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to strip the motor wires. Okay. Pretty straightforward. I use my thumbnail. These are really good silicone wires. Okay. Now, how I do thicker gauge soldering. Hopefully this gets in shot. What I do, make sure you have clean iron. And this is a great tip, kids. I'm telling you. Hopefully my big fat head don't get in the way. I hold the iron on the back of the wire And I start with the solder here, and I wrap it over the wire. Bam, like that. And that just gets everybody nice and juicy. Because if you start on the back side of the wire, you know you've got penetration. Look at that. Bam, beautiful. Then we're going to solder this one up. Now, how do you want to do this? I'm going to zoom back out a little bit here. I'm actually going on the outside, and we can neaten this up later. So, here we go. Get this in shot here for you. Heat it from the wire side first. And don't worry about the extra wire. We will fix that. What I mean by that is where it's bowing out. Not a problem, okay? And actually, I'm going to switch. This one was longer. I'm going to put you here. Okay. And you over here. Okay. Better to be too long than too short, kids. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and do the other ones off camera. But one thing that I am going to do, I decided I've got enough room, I've got enough time and space. I'm going to take this board back off, and we are going to iso-mount this board. Iso-mount meaning we're going to put rubber washers underneath it to give it a little dampening. Okay? I'm not a huge fan of this. I've done it on a few of my quads. Never really noticed a huge difference. If you're using like an F7 processor, yeah, I've heard that works. But I wanted to get these on before I soldered all the rest of these wires up. So, here's a trick. I'm going to put in the description of this video links to everything I'm using in here. These are just little rubber O-rings. Bam. Nothing but a peanut, okay? You can get these off, I get them off Banggood for like, I don't know, like $1.50 a bag or something. They don't have to be all the way down. Just stick them on there. Tell you what, it's fucking head cold. That kid gave me malaria. Kicking my ass. Alright. Now, the trick to soft mounting anything in industry is if you torque down your screws too much, it doesn't work. So essentially what you want is a floating circuit, or a floating board, sorry. Okay. Fucking going left-handed here. So what I'm going to do, push this down. To make sure that these washers are all the way down, I am going to torque this. Pretty good amount. Just like you'd be tightening it down. Down. Fuck, dudes. Don't ever do a build with a head cold. I can do a build drunk better than I can do it this way. Alright, now, what I do then is I back... That's just to push those rubber rings down. Now I'm going to back them off. Little bit. Not a lot. Wiggle your board a little bit. Okay, make sure it's... Alright. Bam, look at that shit. You don't want those things squished. Now what I'm going to do, this is a trick that I do. And a lot of you guys are going to scoff at this, but I take a soldering iron and I T-mark my nuts and bolts. And then clean off your soldering iron. Now, what that does, that basically locks those nuts. Because remember, they're not torqued down, so they could vibrate off, but it locks them down to the point where they won't just vibrate off. All right? But, believe it or not, looks like they're melted together. They're really not. You can manually unscrew them and they'll be fine. I do this all the time. Works out well. I'm going to solder the rest of these up. Bam. Be right back. Okay, that is done. Bam. Look at that. It's a beautiful thing. Make sure you've got no stray wires coming across here. And you can make these any way you want, guys. You can make these longer, these wires longer, and wrap them under the board and out. Doesn't matter. However you like to do it. I like to have a little bit more easy access. Then what I usually do, I take my trusty conformal coating and I water resist these connectors. The reason I don't necessarily on every build do the entire board, but I do the bits that stick out of the sides, because if you run into wet grass, things like that, bam, you don't want those connections being raw. All right, next thing we're going to do, and there's a trick to this one too. We are going to solder our connector, our battery connector, okay? So, here we go. Now, what I do with my helping hands is I welded connectors, XT60s, onto these, so it actually holds my connector while I'm soldering. Bam! Check that shit out. That's pretty cool. So, what I do with these, we're going to take our wire, obviously. 200C, what gauge is this shit? 14. Pretty heavy duty stuff. I'm going to give myself a couple bits of ends here. This is how I do it. You probably should use a wire stripper, but I can't be bothered. Okay, now, one thing I do, I'll put the wire in here first. We'll do one at a time. For these processes, I actually use a gun, okay? The gun is, and it's got to heat up a little bit here, the gun is going to give you much better penetration, and it's going to be faster just in general, okay? And I just don't like waiting, so that's what we're going to do. Let's see how fast this thing heats up. Bam. You can get this stuff to heat up a little bit faster if you tin it while you're doing this stuff. A little trick, okay? So now, hopefully my big fat head ain't in the way. Bam! Look at that. I'm going to do this side's probably out of shot. Woohoo! Pert. Now, with your battery connectors, which is what this is going to be, you want nice, solid penetration. I see a lot of my friends with their soldering jobs, or what they think are soldering jobs, and you do not want shitty connections on your battery cables. Bad things will happen. So, here we go. Same rule applies. Walk the solder around. Okay. Same thing with this side. And you can do this with a soldering iron. Do it all the time. But this is just so much faster. Now, if you're ever curious, look at the center of the wire. If you can see strands of wire, you did not get it in very well. So now what we're going to do the same thing. Negative on the XT60s on the round side, positives on the flat, always, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to tin these. See if I can get this at a decent viewing angle for you. I'm going to use my same gun, heat it up here. Now these are different. I've got other styles where they're cupped and you basically slide the wire into it and solder. These are just as good. So what we're going to do, we're going to take some solder. And I'm going to, it's a little bit more than tinning, it's kind of filling. And we're going to fill these. Let your gun sit on it a little bit. Or your iron, whatever you're doing, especially if you're using an iron. You want that stuff, you can really tell when it sets up. Okay? The other benefit to having the XT60 being held is if it does get too hot, the plastic doesn't, the pins don't move. So it's kind of nice. So positive sides on the flat. So here's what I do. You want to heat up your thickest component first, or the component that is going to transduce the most heat. Then take your thinner component and put it into it. It flows better. So we're going to heat this back up. Really hot. And then we're going to put our wire into it. Give it a little twist. And you want that shit like cheerleader hot. Not thin at all. That's beauty. Okay? Do the same thing with the other side. And then we're going to put some heat shrink over it. Bam! Shit's going to be done, son. It's going to be badass. It's going to be a beautiful connection. So, here we go again. We in shot. Sorry if it's hard to see, but you know, shit happens. All right. Get this good and hot. This side's being a little bit more sticky. Beauty. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be some hot shit, son. Zoop. Okay. Bodamus. Don't love that negative side. Might have to redo that. Don't be afraid to yank on it. Your quadcopter won't. So make sure you've got a nice solid connection. So now what we're going to do, I'm thinking that is going to be a little long. I don't want it that long, okay? So I'm going to redo this. I'll be right back. Shorten it up a little bit. Alright, I shortened that up a little bit. Don't want it too long, just extra weight, and then you have to worry about your shit getting stuck in your props. Bah. Alright, so now, battery side, whoop, negative side, okay? So, we're going to feed it through here first. It really doesn't matter. Actually, for ease of soldering, I'm not. Now, when you're doing board level stuff like this is a lot of fucking juice to be put through that board, okay? So what I do is I lay the wire on top of the board, and then I heat through the wire. Once it melts into the board solder, you know you're done. If you start with the board too soon, you can be burning up some ICs, and that would be bad. So check it out. This is how we do it. Heat through the wire. The wire is going to transfer the heat to the board. That was a dry weld. I don't like that. We're going to change that shit. Sometimes that happens. There we go. Yeah, that does not look good. That's all right. That solder got too hot. My fault. That's okay. It ain't going to pop off. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we are going to mount our camera. Believe it or not, we don't have a whole lot more work to do. So let's grab the camera. In this case, we are running the Runcam Swift 2. Sorry about this. Okay. Here we go. Wow. I haven't even opened this up yet. I haven't bought a Runcam in a while. Oh, all sorts of cool shit in here. You got extra housing. Oh, I see. Okay. And I might actually swap that over, because I don't need these rails. Your mounting hardware and all this stuff. Now, we are going to be using the rail. Yeah, I'm doing all sorts of cool stuff now. That's our OSD. This does have an OSD built into it that I'm not going to use. I'm going to change the back. I want the flat back because I don't need the lock adjustments for this. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, okay, cool. Guess we will. They've changed this a little bit since I've done these, so I like it. So we've got to strap this into that. Just like that. So, give me 2 seconds, let me find some hardware, and we're going to screw this puppy together. Be right back. Alright, this thing's starting to look like a bird now here. Got our motors on, got our camera mounted. I have it locked down in this position on purpose. Wires, everything's done. I'm probably going to redo this later because that looks like shit, but that's okay. Video purposes, it works good enough. And we will put some a zip strip around here to make sure we don't get yanked out. Now, we're going to hook up our camera wires. So what we got to do, if you look at your Runcam, if this is what you're using, you'll see, read from the top down. Where's my special thingy? You got 5 volts to 36, then you got ground and video. That's all I'm using. Then there's audio and voltage for battery, and that's your basically your OSD, which I'm not going to be using. And then our ground and our OSD there. So, here we go. So they give you this nice long cable, which we don't need because this is going to write here. But I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. Okay? You got two ends, so if you fuck up, you got two chances, right? So we're going to strip these wires, give them a twist. What did I used to call it? Tin and twist. Rock and fucking roll. I'm going to tin these off screen here, because I'm tired of moving my fucking soldering iron. Okay. Now, we're going to trim these. You do not want long wires. So if we look at our board here, very difficult to see. Your lighting's probably better than mine. Here we go. So we got buzzer far right, 5 volts, ground, video in, ground, and video out. So there's video in. If you guys are going to use this board, you may want to know this. VI, ground, VO, ground. So video in is going to be your camera yellow, and we're going to bring our 5 volts to here and to here. Well, that's going to be our receiver. It doesn't matter. You've got 5 volts here, 5 volts here. You got plenty of 5 volts, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring our yellow wire, plug this in to here. Okay, bam, like that. And our red is going to go to 5 volts right here. Our ground's going to go to right here. And our video in is going to go to the VI. Okay, I'm going to do that real quick. No way I'm doing that on camera. And we'll get right back. Alrighty, that is done. Use a fine soldering tip for this, guys. I'm telling you. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our receiver. Now, on this particular one, this is kind of one of my homemade JSONified, wasn't really supposed to be that way. I put a flexible pigtail on mine, and that's all good. But anyway, you've got red is hot, black is cold, yellow is signal, then white and black are going to be audio and ground. I do not use the white and black. So, what we can do is we can pop these up. And it's perfectly fine to destroy them. Just be careful. Bam. Pull them out. Done. Now, how long do you want this? I usually keep these a little bit long. Just because. And we'll go ahead and solder that up. Now, what we're going to do in this case, we're going to run our receiver, or I'm sorry, our VTX straight off of the power here. The reason I'm going to do that is there's only other 5 volts here. I don't believe there's a battery out. So we may have to put a filter in this one if we have any noise. But either way, so I'm basically going to take my hot here, my cold here, and my video out signal, which is right there, to this guy, to the yellow. I'm going to solder that up. Be right back. Alrighty, we got that done. Now, notice some of the ways I'm doing things. And this is kind of important to do. Try to aim your wires in the direction of the source, okay? Like my camera, it's going this way, so I soldered them with the wire going that way and out. My VTX, I did it this way, because I know my VTX is going to be back here somewhere. I didn't want to weld it with the wire pointing that way because it causes unnecessary stress, okay? Just a little tip. Now, next thing we're going to do, we're actually done. We've got the camera in, bam. We've got the VTX powered in. Might need to use a cap there to filter that. I'm going to wait and see. A lot of guys just put them on, but honestly, if you've got a good setup, you shouldn't need it. We still need to put our receiver in. VTX is ready to go. I'm not going to use a beeper on this, I don't think. I don't think I'm going to. I'm just going to use the beeper through the motors. That's what I've been doing lately here. And damn, that's it, kids. We're going to start buttoning this piggy together. Okay, and then we're going to check for shorts. So, I'm going to go ahead and solder our receiver in, which is, sorry about the lighting, ground, 5 volts, and S-bus. Let me do that real quick, and I'm going to have the wires going this way. I'll be right back. And we are back and soldered up. So, there's a receiver. I have not put the antenna on there yet. Everybody's cooking with gas and ready to go. Theoretically, this thing is done, aside from functionality goes. Notice I did not put heat shrink over my battery, okay? The reason I did that was I took my conformal coating And I lathered this up, so there's no way that's going to short out. And then later on, I'm going to take a larger piece of heat shrink and put it over the whole thing. But we're not done yet, obviously. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put together the canopy. Bam. So here's our canopy bits and bobs. And here's our two rails. Going to go like that. Excuse me. Standoffs that go between the rails. Bits and bobs and bolts and things. What's this? Oh, wow. That's interesting. That came with the run cam? Sorry. And our TPU bits and bobs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble this off camera because you don't need to see me put fucking bolts in. And then I'm going to go over it and show you how it interconnects. Okay? Actually, we can do the first bits pretty quick. Now, mind you, I have already built one of these, so I kind of have an idea. You're like, thank God, right? That is a different camera style mount. We're not using that. We're using this one. And it is going to interconnect that way. And I mount these a little bit differently than you're supposed to. And I'll show you why in a minute. So you want to slide these through here. And that's going to give you a hinged effect, okay? You really can't fuck this up. There's only one way it goes together. So let me put this together real quick. Then we're going to fasten the rails onto the sides. And you're going to be like, damn, that's badass. Be right back. All right. Now you guys are understanding why my shit's always a mess. So here's what we're going to do. That's how they go together. This is how I do it, okay? You have a standoff through there, which is a hinge point, and a standoff through there. And then we're going to take our graphite, I am sick, our carbon fiber, and we're going to screw this down to the sides. This is all, I love this frame. It's unbelievably fucking strong, and it's simple. It's not, and it's just fucking badass looking. I love it. I think it's worth every fucking penny. This is my second one. I told you guys when I built the first one, I said, when I find a frame I love, I usually get two. Well, here you go. Here's two. All right. We're going to do the one side. Now, the next side, look at that. Bam. Purdy. Something to think about. Now, where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? They're there. We've got these. These are mounts for your VTX. And I am going to, what did I use on the other one? Hang on. I used that one. Okay. They give you an assortment. I think I used this one last go around. So be sure to put this in before you screw on the other side, or else bad things happen. One of these was really a bitch to fit in there. I can't remember. Yeah, it looks like they all are. All right, rock and roll. It really shouldn't matter which way this goes, forwards or backwards or up or down. Okay, and we're going to squeeze the bitch together. So we're going to go ahead and thread in these screws. All right, you're like, fucking boring. I know. It's all right. There we go. Bam! Look at that. Love it when a plan comes together. So here's what I'm gonna do. This reminds me. I think I need to fix. No, I already did fix that. Okay, never mind. Talking to myself. Whew. Fucking hot. All right. Damn, skids. That's fucking tits and ass right there. Just for looks, I put this in. Now, our VTX is going to go there, meaning our antenna. That's easy enough. But my receiver antenna, I'm plumbing through here. That is why I have not put it in yet. Okay. Nothing but a peanut. Look at that shit. Okay. Ah, pretty. Now, how this is going to work, we're going to loosen these up a little bit. Look at that. Then this little piggy is going to slide over this. We'll do cable management later. And I forgot. One of the things you need to do, don't tighten these down until you fit this over. I remember that now. But that's okay. That's easy enough. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take my classy antenna. This is for my receiver, because I do use different antennas than the stock ones come with. I use radio link crap. Alright, so, and I put it through here. Now, whether that's the intention of the manufacturer or not, couldn't tell you. But it sure looks nice. Yep, yep. Just like that. Nothing but a peanut. Twist that bitch in there real nice. Cool. Then, I'm going to slam it with a touch of hot glue. Okay. Bam. Done is done. So, that means my receiver's got to go right here. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to, hold that thought, grab a little thread lock, always shake it up. Where'd my VTX go? You know, sometimes not sure if this shit's worth doing on a head cold day. Really? Alright. So what we're going to do, we're going to thread this little pig in. Ha ha, look at that. And I'm going to put that thread lock way down at the bottom. Don't cover up the whole thread. You don't want to make an insulator. Little goes a long way. That's why they sell you little bottles of it. Okay? And we're going to tighten this up. Bam, 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 bam. Now, nothing is more annoying than having a loose fucking antenna. So, I'm going to take some needle nose. And we're going to do this. Beauty. That is not going to fall off. And then, I'm going to mount that, probably like that. Well, no. Probably like that. And I'm going to put my receiver in there. And I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue, maybe double-sided tape. Doesn't matter. And that's how that's going to go. And I'll do a dry fit just to make sure. So receiver's going to go there, because that's where my antenna's going to plug in. And my VTX can go here. So let me pop this together. Be right back. Alright, been working on this for a second. A little trick to getting double-sided tape to stick to TPU, because sometimes it doesn't stick real well. Take your hot glue gun, push it against the TPU, and relatively tight, and just try to get a film of hot glue on there. You want to make it really hot. And then let that dry, and that shit'll stick forever, kids. Bam. Just a little tip. Be right back. Okay, we are mounted. Now, one thing I do recommend, I gotta get all the hot glue and shit out of here. One of my subscribers the other day, I think he's a subscriber anyway, he said, "Man, you really like your fucking hot glue, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, it fucking sticks the world together, man." I did connect my antenna to my receiver, and I've already bound my receiver, and I put a little dab of hot glue over that antenna so it doesn't pop out. And I do recommend you put a little bit of hot glue on your VTX connector as well, okay? Just good math. I got to do some conformal coat over these. I'm not going to conformal coat this whole board. It's really not needed. Do give yourself some room. I left my wires pretty good. Not too bad. Because you want to be able to get your canopy off for maintenance, okay? So I'm going to button this thing up. Basically, all we're going to do, loosen up a couple screws on the sides, and you're going to slide this on. These out of the way. And it's going to go like that. Now, get the wires out of the way. Cool. Pretty, right? Now, that's finished product pretty much, but there's a trick to this. There's these little lock screws and these long ass bolts right here. They're not that long. And these are T-locks. So these nuts slide into these holes right here, and then the nut or the bolt goes through and locks in like a T-lock. They're a pain in the ass. You might want to put like a little bit of hot glue on the back sides of these to keep those nuts in there if you plan on taking this on an awful lot. So just a little tip there. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and button this thing up. Make sure these are loose. Slide that on there. And as soon as I tighten these up, watch this. That canopy ain't going nowhere. This is some primo, sick, awesome cut carbon fiber. These guys got this shit down, man. It's accurate as shit. Look at that, bam. You probably don't even need to bolt these down, but I'm gonna, obviously. So yeah, there you go. I'm gonna go ahead and slide these in, and we're gonna do some finishing touches, clean up some wiring, and we're gonna be good to go. Bam, be right back. All right, we are back, bam. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, everything's buttoned up, looking good. I am gonna do some cable management with these wires, probably zip strips through here, zip strips through there. I do want to put actually I'm going to show you guys that real quick. Always zip strip your power lead. I'm telling you right now, kids, bad things will fucking happen. You do not want to take an $80 board or more and have the edges ripped off. I'm sorry, the pads ripped off. That's really not a good thing. It'll ruin your fucking day. Trust me on that. Just put a couple of them through there. Good enough for the girls we date. All right, cutters. There we go. Bam, bam. All right, slap on our far view antenna. Stubby. I'll tighten this up later. Never power up without a fucking VTX antenna. Bad things will happen. Make your day go bad. Okay? Now we're going to put on our props. And I'm not going to tighten these up. Actually, before we do that, here's another tip. Do your prostate check. I've showed you guys this in other build videos. Put it on continuity before you ever hook up your battery. Right? Stick it into here. You should just get a beep. That's capacitance. Bad things will happen if you have a direct short. So always do a prostate check. Okay? Now we're going to plug in a 3S just to make sure everybody powers up. Beautiful. Cool. So what I'm going to do tomorrow probably is we're going to do the setup on Betaflight. And that's it. Nice and simple. Nothing but a peanut. Very easy to do. But just so we can get the full effect of what this bird looks like, I want to show you guys. And thank you for sitting with me through this mess. Bam. There she is. That is one sexy fucking machine right there, kids. Bam. Look at that. Ugh. Let's see what our dry weight is. Now we still need a strap. But other than that, I can throw a strap on there if you really give a damn. On the scale, it tells no lies. Ha ha ha. 324. Let's see what my Gold Cobra one weighs. Now, Gold Cobra should weigh more. The motors are not that light. And it's got 4 ESCs instead of an all-in-one. So that's what? 323. 339. Not a hell of a lot. This one's got not as good a camera. But yeah, check that shit out. Ooh, that's some sexy stuff, kids. So, tomorrow, I will hop on the computer, if not tonight, and I'll do the Betaflight setup for this. Pretty much the same Betaflight setup I do on every bird, nothing new. And make sure everything's working, and I'll do some flight footage. So, bam, till the next time, kids. Hope this was good for you. Take care. Keep your shiny side up. Bye.